Okay, this is lesson 1.7. We are going to now put variables on both sides. Now here's the good news. You move numbers with letters just like you move numbers without letters. Now on our steps, we have our steps as 1, distributive property, 2, combine like terms. Those stay. 3, get all your numbers on one side of the equal sign, all your numbers with letters on the other. And then we have step 4 as divide by the number next to your letter. Those are all staying. Divide by number next to your letter. Those all stay, except now when we move things, when we get numbers on one side, numbers with letters on the other, you could have numbers with letters on both sides. That's the only difference here. And you move them just like you move numbers without letters. First thing we have to do, distributive property. Negative 4 times x is negative 4x. Negative 4 times 2 is negative 8 equals negative 52. Now we combine like terms. Like terms have to be on the same side. So I cannot combine negative 8 with negative 52. I haven't seen that in a long time. I used to see that all the time. Okay, they have to be on the same side. That's why we put the line here. So I have no like terms. I have no like terms on this side of my equal sign. I have no like terms on this side of my equal sign. So I just move on. So now I have letter with number, letter with number, number, number. So if I move this over here, that's going to get all my numbers on one side of the equal sign, correct? So I do that by adding 8. That's an 8. So these cancel. Negative 4x equals, what did this become? Negative 40 what? Negative 44. So now what do? Now I divide by, now all my numbers with letters are on one side. All of my numbers without letters are on the other side. So now I divide by the number next to my letter, which is negative 4. That goes on bottom. X equals positive 11. That's my answer. Okay, you have to finish the warm-ups even though I didn't. You move a coefficient the same way you move a constant. So let's define some things. This right here is a constant. It's a number without a letter, which means this is a coefficient. It's a number with a letter. So this is my constant. It's constant. It stays the same. This is my coefficient. This is going to change depending on what x is. Not a constant, it's a coefficient. So we put our line here. I cannot add 7x and negative 8x because they're on the opposite sides of the equal sign. However, I can move my 7x. When I move my 7x, it gets all my numbers with letters on the other side, right? Now, when I was in high school, they made us do this horizontally, which is horrible. Don't do this horizontally. If you don't even know what I mean, don't worry about it. We're going to do it vertically. Here's vertically. That means I subtract 7x from here, and I subtract 7x from here. This becomes 0 and goes away. I'm left with negative 45. This equals negative 15x. Now, please do not switch the negative 15x to the left. Keep it there. Because when you get to algebra 2, you're going to need it there. You can't just put negative 15 on this side. You'll get the wrong answer. Okay, you won't. But when you get to algebra 2, you will. So just leave it here and just do what the steps are. What is the step? Once I have my numbers on one side, right here, my numbers with letters on the other side, right here, what's that step? What's the next step? Divide by the number next to the x, which is negative 15. This gives me, thank you, 3 equals what? Very good. And it's okay. You want to see it x equals 3. No. Leave it 3 equals x. It's the same thing. Okay? That works the same for the inequalities also. Now, for the sake of the video, let's go to number 4. Let's go to number 4. Now, when I get to number 4, I have a decision to make. Here's a number with a letter. Here's a number with a letter. Here's a number without a letter. Here's a number without a letter. So there's not one thing. You could move whatever you want. You could move the 2a. You could move the 12. You could move the 5a. You could move the negative 9. Now, because we're doing inequalities, I'm going to give you a rule. That's not a real rule. It's a me rule. Always move the smallest number with a letter. Anybody heard that before? Which one is the smallest number with a letter? Negative 5. So I'm going to add 5 to both sides. These go away, leaving me negative 9. So now this becomes 12 plus 3a. Why did I do that? Because when we do an inequality, you don't want to divide by a negative, because then you have to remember to flip the inequality. If I move the smallest number with a letter, I don't have to worry about flipping the inequality. Okay, so now you might have moved the 12 first. So your second step is going to be different. Now, with what I did, what do I have to move next? I have to move the 12. Now, I don't have to. I could move the 3a back over to the other side if I wanted to. And if I move it over here, what's it going to become? Negative 3a. You can move anything you want as long as you do it correctly. But I'm going to move the 12. This cancels. 3a equals negative 21. Remember that vine? Funny vine. And now what do I do? Now I have all my numbers on one side, all my numbers on one side, all my numbers with letters on the other side. When you get to that step, you divide by the number next to your letter. A equals negative 7. Let's move to number 6 for the purpose of the video. Line at the inequality. Now, this is where you want to use the rule, move the smallest number with a letter. What's smaller, negative 8 or negative 5? Negative 8. I got to get these on the same side. So I'm going to add 8m to both sides. This cancels out, leaving me 16 is less than or equal to 3m minus 8. So now I add 8 to both sides. $24 is less than or equal to 3m. Now I divide both sides by 3. 8 is less than or equal to m. Now, I went through that kind of fast, but it's the same thing we've been doing. Now, let me show you something. You don't have to move the smallest number with a letter. What if I moved the 5m first? So I add 5m to both sides. That's okay. You can do this. I get negative 3m plus 16 is less than or equal to negative 8. So now I have to move my 16. This cancels out. Negative 3m is less than or equal to negative 24, right? Now, what do I have to divide by? Negative 3. See, here I divided by a positive 3. Here I divide by a negative 3. These cancel out. M, now you have to remember to flip your inequality, is greater than or equal to 8. These right here, children, are the same answer. Your monster eats the M. Your monster eats the M. They look completely different, but they're the same. However, after you do all this work, if you don't remember to flip that inequality, you get it wrong. That's why I tell you, always move the smallest number with a letter. And we're going to keep that in practice. Okay, number 7 is very important. Let's move on to number 7. I have to get all my numbers on one side, my numbers with letters on the other, right? So what am I going to move? What's that? I cannot get rid of the fraction right here. So I'm going to have to move my negative 3/4 x is what I'm going to have to move. So I get it on the other side, right? So I am going to add 3/4x to both sides. This is going to cancel. I have my negative 12. Now, in your calculator, put 1/4 plus 3/4. What does it tell you? 1. Yes, it's 1. We're going to do a quick little fraction lesson in a second off the video. So now, guess what? Do I have to do anything? I don't have to divide by 1. What's that? X is by itself. It would be what? Yes, 1x and x are the same thing. Because if I divide both sides by 1, I'm going to get the same answer. Okay, guys. That's it for the video. If you have any questions, please come in. Love you. Have a nice day.